The stars stretched endlessly before the Dauntless as it glided through the darkness of space. Captain Wu Park stood on the bridge, watching with calm eyes. His crew moved quietly behind him, checking systems and monitoring readings. They had been traveling for 3 months since leaving Earth, pushing their faster-than-light drive to its limits. Now they were at the edge of unknown space, and something was waiting for them. A bright light appeared on the sensors, then another, then 5 more. Ships materialized around the Dauntless like ghosts becoming solid. They were massive, each one 3 times the size of the human vessel. Their hulls gleamed with colors that seemed to shift and change. Strange symbols glowed along their sides. The chief diplomat stepped beside Wu. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, and her expression remained neutral. She had prepared for this moment for years, studying every scrap of information humanity had gathered about alien life. Now that life was here, surrounding them. A message came through. The translation software struggled for a moment, then words appeared on the screen. The voice that followed was melodic, almost singing. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We are the Galactic Council. We welcome you to the greater community of civilized species. Please prepare to receive our delegation." Wu nodded to his communications officer. "Tell them we accept their delegation. Prepare the main conference room." Within an hour, the aliens arrived. They came in a small shuttle that docked smoothly with the Dauntless. When the airlock opened, 3 beings stepped through. The first was tall and thin, with blue skin that seemed to glow faintly. Its eyes were large and golden, and it wore flowing robes covered in intricate patterns. The second was shorter, covered in silver scales, with 4 arms and a face that reminded of a lizard. The third was the strangest, a floating mass of crystalline shapes that hummed softly as it moved. The tall blue one spoke first. Its voice came through their translation devices clearly. "I am ambassador of the people. We represent the Galactic Council, an alliance of 12 founding species and 47 junior members. We have maintained peace across this region of space for 3,000 years. Wu gestured to the seats around the conference table. "I am Captain Wu Park. This is our chief diplomat and our chief science officer, Minyu. We are honored by your visit." The aliens sat, though the crystalline being simply floated near the table, folded his long fingers together. "We have been observing your species for some time. Your achievement of faster-than-light travel has brought you to our attention. It is a significant milestone." Minyu leaned forward slightly. He was younger than the others, with quick eyes that missed nothing. "How long have you been watching us?" The scaled alien answered, its voice rougher. 50 of your years. We monitor all developing species in this sector. It is standard procedure." Felt a slight chill at those words, but kept her face calm. "And now that we have this faster-than-light travel, what happens?" His golden eyes seemed to brighten. "Now you must choose how to integrate into the galactic community. We offer 3 paths, each designed to help emerging species transition safely into a universe much larger and more complex than they imagined." The ambassador touched a device on his wrist, and a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed star systems, trade routes, and thousands of worlds connected by lines of light. "The first path is vassal status. You would be under the protection of a founding species. They would defend you, guide you, and help you develop. In return, you would contribute resources and follow their leadership in matters of war and expansion." The hologram shifted, showing a different configuration. "The second path is junior membership. You would have a voice in council matters, though limited. You could trade freely with other members and access our technology. However, you would need to accept council oversight of your military and territorial claims. This ensures stability." Another shift. "The third path is protectorate status. You would maintain more independence but still require council approval for major decisions regarding defense and colonization. This path allows you to develop at your own pace while preventing dangerous mistakes." The hologram faded, looked at each human in turn. "These are generous offers, Most species are grateful for such guidance. The universe is dangerous. There are threats you cannot imagine. The Council exists to protect all its members. Silence filled the room. Wu glanced at and she gave a slight nod. He turned back to the aliens. We appreciate your offers, however, I must decline all three. The crystalline being's humming changed pitch. The scaled alien's eyes widened, tilted his head. I do not understand. You decline protection, guidance, access to knowledge accumulated over. Spoke carefully. We decline surrendering our sovereignty. Each of your paths requires humanity to give up control of our own military and our own expansion. We cannot accept that. His expression became concerned. You misunderstand the nature of these offers. This is not about surrendering anything. This is about joining a community. No species can survive alone in this galaxy. There are empires that would destroy you, pirates who would enslave you, phenomena that would erase you from existence. The Council prevents all of this. Wu stood, and the alien seemed surprised by the sudden movement. Ambassador, humanity has a long history. We have learned painful lessons about what happens when we trust others to make decisions for us. We have been conquered, enslaved, and nearly destroyed by our own kind. We survived by learning to stand on our own feet. We will not trade one master for another, no matter how kind that master claims to be. The scaled alien hissed softly. You are children playing with weapons you do not understand. Your arrogance will destroy you. Minyu's jaw tightened, but he said nothing, raised a hand slightly. We are not arrogant. We are simply not willing to give up our freedom before we have even begun to explore the stars. Perhaps there is another way. Perhaps humanity can join your council as full equals. Stood as well. His golden eyes showed something that might have been pity. That is impossible. Full membership requires centuries of proven stability and cooperation. No species has ever been granted immediate equal status. It would be chaos. Wu extended his hand. Then we must respectfully decline your offers, but we hope this is not the end of communication between us. Perhaps in time, we can find an arrangement that works for both our peoples. Looked at the offered hand for a long moment before taking it. His skin was cool and dry. I will report your decision to the Council. They will wish to meet again in 30 standard days. Perhaps you will reconsider when you have had time to think. The aliens departed soon after. As their shuttle detached and returned to their ships, the massive vessels turned and vanished back into faster-than-light travel. The Dauntless was alone again among the stars. Let out a long breath. That went better than I expected. Wu watched the empty space where the alien ships had been. They think we will change our minds. They think we are just confused or scared. Minyu pulled up the recording of the meeting on his tablet. They have no idea how stubborn humans can be. The captain smiled grimly. No, they do not, but they will learn. 30 days passed quickly. The Dauntless remained at the edge of Council space, waiting. During that time, more human ships arrived. Earth had sent reinforcements, not because they expected war, but because they wanted to show strength. 5 more vessels joined Wu's ship, each one carrying scientists, diplomats, and soldiers. When the Council ships returned, there were more of them this time. 20 massive vessels appeared, forming a sphere around the human fleet. They were even larger than before, their hulls decorated with lights that pulsed like heartbeats. It was meant to be impressive, and it was. The lead ship sent a message requesting another meeting. This time, they wanted to meet on their vessel. Wu agreed but brought a larger team, led the diplomatic group, which included Wu, Minyu, and 4 security personnel. They took a shuttle across the empty space between ships. The Council vessel was incredible inside. The corridors were wide and tall, made of materials that seemed to glow from within. Gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth normal. Strange music played softly from everywhere and nowhere. The aliens who passed them in the halls stopped to stare at the humans with expressions that ranged from curiosity to concern. They were led to a grand chamber that looked more like a palace throne room than a conference space. A long table sat in the center, but around it were dozens of alien beings representing different species. Some sat, some stood, and some floated. All of them watched the humans enter with intense focus. At the head of the table sat a new alien one had not seen before. It was massive, easily 3 meters tall even while sitting. Its body was covered in what looked like stone or thick armor, colored deep red, and its eyes were small but bright, like stars in a dark sky. When it spoke, its voice rumbled like thunder. I am High Mediator of the Hierarchy. I am one of the founding members of the Galactic Council. I have lived for 6 of your centuries. I have seen species rise and fall. I have negotiated peace between empires and prevented wars that would have consumed entire star systems. I am here because the Council takes your decision very seriously. Bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. We are honored by your attention, High Mediator. I am Chief Diplomat of Humanity. Gestured with one massive hand. Please sit, we have much to discuss. The humans took their seats. Immediately, aliens began bringing items to the table, small devices that projected images, containers of strange substances, data pads filled with information. They piled up until the table was covered. Gestured to the collection. These are gifts, technology that will cure diseases your species still suffers from, energy systems that will power your worlds cleanly for, manufacturing processes that will end scarcity, agricultural methods that will feed billions. We offer all of this freely. Another alien, this one covered in green fur with 6 legs, spoke up. Its voice was high and quick. We also offer resource sharing agreements. There are asteroid fields rich in rare minerals, gas giants filled with fusion fuel. We will grant you access to these resources. Your species will want for nothing. A third alien, floating like the crystalline being from before but made of what looked like liquid metal, added more. We offer cultural exchange programs. Your artists can learn from civilizations thousands of years older than yours. Your scientists can study at the greatest universities in the galaxy. Your children can grow up knowing the wonders of a million worlds. Wu looked at the pile of gifts and felt the weight of what was being offered. These were things that would change human civilization forever. Medicine, energy, abundance. It was everything Earth needed. Leaned forward. All we ask in return is what we asked before. Accept council authority in matters of war and territorial expansion. Let us guide you. Let us protect you. In time, after you have proven yourselves as responsible members of the galactic community, you will gain more autonomy. This is how it has always been done. This is how peace is maintained. Glanced at Wu. The captain's face was unreadable. She turned back to the aliens. May I ask how long this period of guidance typically lasts? The green-furred alien answered. It varies by species. The average is 500 of your years. Some take longer if they struggle with the transition. Some take less if they adapt quickly. Minyu spoke up for the first time. 500 years. That is 20 generations of humans. You are asking our great-great-great to live under rules they have no voice in creating. Small eyes focused on Minyu. We are asking them to live in peace and prosperity. The alternative is chaos, war, and extinction. Do you understand how many species destroy themselves within a century of achieving faster-than-light travel? 47%. Nearly half. They expand too quickly, encounter threats they cannot handle, or fight wars over resources they do not need to fight over. The Council prevents this. Took a breath. High Mediator, I have a counter-proposal. Grant humanity full membership immediately, with equal voting rights and no restrictions on our military or territorial expansion. The chamber exploded with noise. Aliens of every shape and size began talking at once, some in anger, some in shock. The green-furred alien stood on its back legs, shouting something that the translator could not keep up with. The liquid metal being's form rippled violently. Raised both hands and silence fell immediately. His voice was harder now. What you ask is unprecedented. No species has ever been granted immediate full membership. It would be irresponsible. You are children in galactic terms. You have existed as a unified civilization for less than a century. You have no experience with alien threats, no understanding of galactic politics, no proven track record of peaceful coexistence even with yourselves. Wu stood up. The security personnel behind him tensed slightly. With respect, High Mediator, we did not ask to be judged by your standards. We did not ask for your protection. We achieved faster-than-light travel on our own. We will continue to develop on our own. If that means we must face dangers without your help, then so be it. Stood as well, and his full height was terrifying. He towered over Wu, his stone-like body radiating power. You do not understand what you are refusing. There are empires out there that would see you as nothing more than animals to be experimented on. There are raiders who would capture your people and sell them as slaves. There are cosmic phenomena that could sterilize your entire planet, and you would never even know why. The Council stands between you and all of that. Stood beside Wu. Then teach us. Share your knowledge freely, not as a gift with strings attached. Trade with us as equals, not as parents giving allowance to children. We will face the dangers of this universe on our own terms. Another alien, one that looked almost human except for silver eyes and pale blue skin, spoke softly. Perhaps a compromise. We could offer you an accelerated path to full membership. Not 500 years, but 200. You would still need to accept council oversight, but the period would be much shorter. The chamber went quiet. Several aliens nodded. This was clearly something they thought was incredibly generous. 200 years instead of 500, a gift of 3 centuries. Sat back down slowly. This is highly irregular, but I would support such a compromise. 200 years of guided membership, then full autonomy and equal voting rights. This is the best offer you will ever receive. Wu looked at Minyu. The 3 humans had a silent conversation with just their eyes. Then Wu turned back to the aliens. Thank you for this generous offer. We reject it. The chamber erupted again. This time the anger was obvious. Aliens were standing, shouting, waving appendages in the air. One small alien near the back collapsed, apparently overcome with shock. 2 others had to carry it out. Small eyes seemed to glow brighter. You reject 200 years. You reject technology. You reject protection. You reject abundance. What exactly do you want from us? His voice was calm but firm. We want respect. We want to be treated as equals, not children. We want the freedom to make our own choices, even if they are mistakes. We want the right to succeed or fail on our own terms. These things are not negotiable. The High Mediator was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke, and his voice was heavy with something that might have been sadness. Then I fear for your species. I truly do. The galaxy is not kind to those who stand alone. You will learn this, but the lesson may cost you everything. The meeting ended badly. The humans were escorted back to their shuttle in silence. As they flew back to the Dauntless, Minyu looked at the council ship growing smaller behind them. They really believe they are helping us, he said quietly. Nodded, yes, that is what makes this so difficult. They are not evil. They genuinely think they know what is best. Wu stared ahead at their ship. Then we will have to show them that humanity does not need someone else to decide what is best for us, no matter what it costs. The council chamber was different this time. It was not on a ship but on a massive station that orbited a gas giant. The station was old, built thousands of years ago when the council was first formed. Its halls were filled with history, with monuments to peace and cooperation. Walking through it felt like walking through a museum. Li stood in the observation gallery, looking down at the main council floor below. She was the only human allowed inside the station without escort. The council had granted her observer status as a gesture of goodwill, hoping she might help them understand her species better. She was not allowed to vote or speak during sessions, but she could watch and listen. Below her, the council was in chaos. Dozens of aliens argued with each other, their voices rising and falling in waves. Some slammed appendages on their desks. Others floated in agitated patterns. A few sat perfectly still, which had learned meant they were angry beyond words. At the center of the storm stood Fleet Commander. He was a member of the Dominion, a warrior species that served as the Council's primary military force. He was shorter than most aliens but powerfully built, covered in dark scales with bright red markings. His eyes were sharp and intelligent, missing nothing. Held up a data tablet and the image projected above the council floor for all to see. It showed the Dauntless and the 5 other human ships that had joined it. "This is the human fleet 30 days ago," he said, his voice cutting through the noise like a blade. 6 ships, primitive but functional. Good engines, weak weapons, adequate shields. The image changed. Now it showed 20 human ships, then 30, then 50. "This is the human fleet now. 57 vessels. They have been building at a rate we did not think possible for their level of technology. Their shipyards are working at full capacity. Every ship that arrives brings more components for new construction." An alien that looked like a walking tree spoke up, its voice like wind through leaves. "How is this possible? Building ships requires resources, infrastructure, trained crews. They should not be able to scale up this quickly." Pulled up more data. Human efficiency is remarkable. They use modular construction, building components that can be assembled quickly. They train multiple crew members for each position, so personnel shortages do not slow them down. They work in shifts that maximize productivity. It is not elegant, but it is effective. The massive stone-like high mediator rumbled from his seat. "This is concerning but not threatening. 50 ships are nothing against our fleet's strength. We have thousands of vessels." Red markings seemed to glow brighter. "With respect, High Mediator, you are not understanding the strategic implications. Let me show you something else." The projection changed again. This time it showed detailed schematics of human weapons and defensive systems. "We captured sensor data from their ships during our meetings. I had my analysts study their technology. What we found is disturbing. Human weapons are less powerful than ours, but their rate of fire is triple what we use. They sacrifice power for volume. In a battle, they would overwhelm shields through sheer number of hits." He pulled up more data. "Their armor is layered and redundant. If one section is destroyed, the others compensate. Their ships are designed to keep functioning even after catastrophic damage. Most of our vessels would be disabled by hits that humans would simply work around." A floating alien made of what looked like crystalline shards spoke in a high, chiming voice. "This is the design philosophy of a species that expects to lose battles. They are planning for casualties." Nodded. "Exactly. I studied their history. Humans have been fighting wars for their entire existence. Not just small conflicts, but wars that consumed their entire civilization. Wars where millions died. They understand loss in a way we do not. They plan for it. They accept it. This makes them very dangerous." Lee felt a chill run through her. Listening to aliens analyze humanity like this was unsettling. They were right, of course. Human history was soaked in blood. But hearing it discussed so clinically made her feel like she was looking at her own species through alien eyes. Another alien spoke, this one with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors. "Then we must act now. If they are building a war fleet, we should stop them before they become a real threat. A blockade of their space, cut off their resources, force them to accept our terms." Several aliens nodded in agreement. Felt her heart beat faster. Were they really considering military action against Earth? Raised one massive hand. "We do not make war on emerging species. That is not our way. We protect, we guide, we sometimes isolate, but we do not attack those who have done us no harm. The four-armed alien's colors shifted to angry reds. They have rejected every offer. They are building a military fleet. What more evidence do we need of hostile intent? An older alien, one that looked almost like a floating brain surrounded by tentacles, pulsed with bioluminescent light as it spoke. I am the keeper of records. I have studied the history of every species that joined the Council and every species that refused. The pattern is clear. Species that reject integration fall into one of two categories. They either destroy themselves through internal conflict, or they become aggressive toward their neighbors. Either way, they do not survive long. The Keeper's tentacles waved slowly. I believe the Council exists to prevent such tragedies. Humanity must be protected from itself. If they will not accept protection willingly, we must find other ways. Could not stay quiet anymore. The rules said she could not speak during sessions, but this was too important. "Excuse me," she called down from the gallery. Every alien in the chamber turned to look up at her. The sudden attention was overwhelming. Hundreds of eyes, in dozens of shapes and colors, all focused on her. His voice was not unkind. "Observer, you know you are not permitted to address the Council during session." Gripped the railing. "I know, but I am listening to you plan military action against I think I have earned the right to speak." There was silence, then gestured, "Very well, say what you must." Took a breath. "You are misunderstanding us. Yes, we are building ships. Yes, we are preparing for conflict. But not because we want war with you. We are preparing because we refuse to be helpless. Every offer you have made requires us to trust you completely, to put our fate in your hands, to believe that you will protect us and guide us and never abuse that power." She pointed down at the Council floor. "But we have learned not to trust like that. Humans have been conquered before. We have been enslaved before. We have been ruled by those who said they knew better than us, and it always ended in suffering. So yes, we build ships. Yes, we prepare our defenses, because the moment we stop being able to defend ourselves is the moment someone will take advantage of that." The Keeper's tentacles stilled. "You compare us to your own conquerors." Shook her head. "No, I believe you genuinely want to help us. But that does not change the fact that your help requires us to surrender control of our own destiny. You offer us a cage made of gold and call it protection. We are saying we would rather face danger as free beings than live safely as prisoners." Stood, his massive form radiating authority. "And what of the danger? What happens when you encounter a species that wants to exterminate you? What happens when you stumble into a spatial anomaly that could destroy your entire planet? What happens when you make an enemy of an empire 1,000 times your size? You will die, observer. Your species will cease to exist, and we will have failed in our duty to prevent that." Met his gaze. "Then we will die free. Is that so hard to understand?" The chamber was silent for a long moment. Finally, a small alien near the back, one that looked like a bundle of tentacles with a single large eye, spoke softly. "Perhaps we need to offer them something different, something that respects their desire for independence while still providing protection." Turned to the small alien. "What do you suggest?" The tentacled being hesitated. "I do not know yet, but I think we need to accept that humanity is unlike any species we have encountered before. They achieved faster-than-light travel faster than anyone. They build ships faster than anyone. They refuse submission more completely than anyone. Perhaps they require a unique solution." Looked at his data tablet again. "We have time, but not much. At their current rate of construction, humanity will have a fleet of 200 ships within 6 months. Within a year, possibly 500. If we are going to find a peaceful solution, we need to find it soon." Sat back down heavily. "Very well. We will convene a special committee to develop a new proposal, something unprecedented, something that might satisfy humanity's desire for independence while still allowing us to fulfill our duty to protect emerging species." He looked up at, You will join this committee, observer. You will help us understand your species better. But know this, if we cannot find a solution, the Council will be forced to take action. We cannot allow a potentially hostile fleet to continue growing unchecked. Nodded slowly. She had bought humanity some time, but she did not know how much. The Council was trying to be patient, trying to be understanding, but their patience would not last forever, and when it ran out, did not know what would happen next. Admiral Nam was not a patient man by nature, but decades in the military had taught him how to wait. He stood in the docking bay of the Council station, surrounded by 20 of Earth's finest diplomats and officers. They were the fourth delegation sent to negotiate with the Galactic Council. The first three had achieved nothing. Was older than the others, with hair and sharp eyes that had seen too many battles. He wore his dress uniform, medals gleaming on his chest. Each one represented a conflict, a victory, a moment when humanity had overcome impossible odds. He hoped the aliens would understand what those medals meant. The doors opened and a council escort arrived. 6 different aliens, each representing a different founding species. They did not speak as they led the human delegation through the massive station. The silence felt heavy, oppressive. Noticed how other aliens in the corridors stopped and stared as they passed. Some looked afraid. Others looked angry. None looked welcoming. The council chamber was packed. Had been warned it would be, but seeing it in person was overwhelming. There were hundreds of aliens present, not just council members but observers from dozens of junior member species. All of them had come to witness humanity's response to the new proposal. And his team took their positions at the center of the chamber. Around them, rising in circular tiers, sat the aliens. It felt like being in an arena, waiting for judgment. Stood his massive stone-like form dominating the space. Admiral Nam, thank you for coming. We have spent the last 2 months developing a new proposal for humanity. This represents the combined wisdom of the Council's greatest minds. We believe it addresses your concerns while maintaining the stability that has kept this region of space peaceful for 3. Another alien stepped forward, one with golden feathers and 4 eyes. Its voice was smooth and practiced. We propose that humanity be recognized as a sovereign protectorate. You would maintain full control of your internal affairs and your military forces. You would be free to explore and colonize as you wish. However, in matters of interstellar conflict, you would coordinate with Council defense forces. This is not subjugation. This is cooperation. This is partnership. A third alien added more details. You would have representation in Council military planning sessions. Your voice would be heard. Your concerns would be considered. And in return, you would benefit from our intelligence networks, our strategic experience, and our vast resources. If you face a threat too large to handle alone, the Council would assist. Listened carefully. On paper, it sounded reasonable. Humanity would keep its freedom but gain powerful allies. The problem was in the details, and had spent weeks studying those details. Who decides when a conflict requires Council coordination? He asked. The golden-feathered alien's eyes blinked in sequence. The Council would make that determination based on the scope and potential consequences of the conflict. So the Council decides, not us. It would be a joint decision, with input from all parties. Smiled, but it was not a happy smile. But if we disagree with the Council's assessment, what happens? There was a pause. The golden-feathered alien glanced at, who remained still. If there is disagreement, the matter would be escalated to the High Council for final determination. The High Council being the founding species, the ones who outvote us, the ones who have final authority. Another pause, longer this time. That is correct. Nodded slowly. So we would have the illusion of sovereignty, but in any situation that actually matters, the Council would have final say. You are asking us to give up control while pretending we keep it. The chamber erupted. Aliens stood and shouted. Some accused of being unreasonable. Others defended the proposal as generous beyond measure. A few called for humanity to be declared a hostile force and dealt with accordingly. An alien near the front, one that looked like a mass of writhing tentacles, screamed in a voice that the translators could barely keep up with. "You ungrateful primitives, we offer you everything and you spit on it. You think you can survive alone. You think your pathetic fleet can stand against real powers. You are nothing. You will be destroyed and we will not weep for you." His jaw tightened, but he kept his voice level. "Is that a threat?" Raised both hands and silence fell like a hammer. "No, it is not a threat. It is a warning born of frustration. We are trying to help you and you reject every attempt. Tell us, Admiral, what would you have us do?" Looked around the chamber at all the alien faces watching him. "Treat us as equals, not children to be guided, not primitives to be protected. Equals. Give us a seat at the council with full voting rights. Let us make our own decisions, our own mistakes. Trust that we can handle the consequences." The tentacled alien that had screamed before spoke again, calmer now but still angry. "You have been spacefaring for less than 2 centuries. We have civilizations older than your recorded history. What gives you the right to demand equality?" A human woman stepped forward before could respond. Dr. Shin was the delegation's chief. She was small and quiet, easy to overlook. But when she spoke, her voice carried authority. "May I address the council?" Gestured his approval. "Please, we would welcome any insight you can provide." Bowed slightly. "I have been studying your culture, your history, your psychology. I have tried to understand why you find our position so incomprehensible, and I believe I have found the answer." She pulled out a tablet and projected images above the chamber. They showed various alien species, each one peaceful and cooperative. Every species in the council achieved unity before achieving faster-than-light travel. You all formed global governments, eliminated war among your own kind, and reached consensus about your place in the universe. Only then did you reach for the stars. The images changed, showing human history. Wars, conflicts, violence. Humanity is different. We achieved faster-than-light travel while still divided. We have over 200 nations on Earth. We still argue, still compete, still sometimes hate each other. We reached the stars not because we were united, but because we were racing each other to get there first. An alien made of crystalline structures chimed in confusion. "That sounds like chaos. How have you not destroyed yourselves?" Smiled. "Because we learned something important. We learned that freedom is more valuable than unity. We learned that diversity of thought, even when it leads to conflict, produces innovation. We learned that being free to make mistakes and learn from them is better than being protected from ever making mistakes at all." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You look at humanity and see children who need guidance. We look at your offer and see a parent who will never let us leave home. You mean well. We believe that. But meaning well is not enough. We need to be free to succeed or fail on our own terms." Small eyes focused on. "And what happens when you fail? What happens when your freedom leads to your extinction?" "Then at least we will have lived as we chose," replied. "Is that not worth something?" The chamber fell silent. Could see aliens processing this, trying to understand a perspective so foreign to them. Some looked confused, some looked disturbed, a few looked thoughtful. Finally spoke again. "We need time to consider this. The council will recess for deliberation, but I must be honest with you, Admiral. There are members of this council who believe we have been too patient already. There are those who say we should simply contain humanity, establish a blockade around your space, and wait for you to collapse under your own chaos. I have been holding such voices back, but my influence has limits." Nodded. "I understand. But know this, any attempt to blockade human space will be seen as an act of war. We will respond accordingly." An alien near the back stood up, its voice shaking with emotion. "You would fight the entire council. You would condemn your species to destruction out of pride." Turned to face the alien directly. "Not pride, Principle. There are things worth fighting for, even when the fight seems impossible to win. Freedom is one of them. The session ended in chaos. Aliens argued among themselves, forming groups and factions. Some wanted immediate military action. Others called for economic sanctions. A few suggested simply abandoning humanity and letting them learn their lesson the hard way. As and his delegation left the chamber, Lee approached them. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. "That did not go well," she said quietly. Shook his head. "No, it did not. How long do we have?" "Days, maybe weeks. The council is splitting. Some members are threatening to take independent action if the council as a whole does not act. We are running out of time." Looked at the station around them, at the monuments to peace and cooperation. "Then we need to do something dramatic, something that forces them to see us differently." Raised an eyebrow. "What did you have in mind?" Smiled, and it was not entirely friendly. "I have an idea, but they are not going to like it." 3 months had passed since humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council. The council station buzzed with tension like electricity before a storm. Emergency sessions ran day and night. Factions formed and broke apart. Alliances shifted. The peace that had lasted 3,000 years felt fragile, ready to shatter. Captain Wu Park and Ambassador walked through the corridors toward what everyone knew would be the final session. Behind them came Admiral Nam, Dr. Shin, Minyu, and Lee. The 6 humans represented all of Earth's hopes. They passed windows showing the space outside. The council fleet had grown massive. Over 1,000 ships surrounded the station, the largest military gathering in council history. But in the distance, humanity's fleet was visible too. 212 ships, tiny compared to the council armada but growing every day. The fleet commander had updated his analysis that morning. If humanity continued building at current rates, they would have 500 ships within 6 months, 1,000 within a year. The numbers terrified the council, not because humanity could win a war, but because they were willing to try. The council chamber was different today. All the junior members had been asked to leave. Only the 12 founding species remained, plus their most senior advisors. The humans were led to the center, where a single table had been placed. Around them, in a circle, sat the most powerful beings in the galaxy. He looked older somehow, worn down by months of debate. "Captain Park, Ambassador, we have reached a decision. Before we share it, I want you to understand what this has cost. The council has debated for 3 months. Friendships thousands of years old have been strained. Species that fought side by side in ancient wars have found themselves on opposite sides of this question. You have forced us to examine the very foundations of our society." He gestured to who stood and activated a holographic display. It showed star charts, fleet positions, and strategic projections. "If we go to war, humanity will lose. That is not arrogance, it is mathematics. We have 1,000 ships for every one of yours. We have weapons that could sterilize you from orbit. We have experience in warfare that spans." Red markings pulsed. "But you would make us pay for it. My analysts estimate we would lose between 50 and 200 ships before your fleet was eliminated. That may not sound like much, but it would be the first council casualties in combat in 800 years. And then we would need to occupy your planets, suppress your resistance, deal with insurgencies. It would take decades. Hundreds of council personnel would die, maybe thousands." He looked directly at. "You were right when you said you understand loss in ways we do not. You are willing to sacrifice everything for your principles. That makes you dangerous, even though you are weak." Another alien spoke, one that looked like a being made of pure light contained in a translucent shell. Its voice resonated like music. "But there is another possibility, one that terrifies us even more than war. What if you survive? What if, against all odds, humanity finds a way to prosper without our guidance? What if you prove that the Council's way is not the only way?" The Keeper, the ancient being that maintained council records, floated forward. Its tentacles waved slowly. I have searched our entire database, 3,000 years of history. Do you know how many times the council has changed its fundamental structure? 0. We have the same hierarchy now that we had when we were founded, the same tiers of membership, the same rules. We have become rigid, unchanging. Perhaps that rigidity is why we cannot understand you. Nodded slowly. We have decided to offer you an ultimatum, not because we want to force you, but because we see no other path. You will accept integration into the council under the protectorate terms we previously offered, or we will establish a quarantine zone around your space. You will be isolated, cut off from the galactic community. No trade, no cultural exchange, no assistance. You will be alone. The chamber was silent. Wu felt the weight of billions of lives on his shoulders. Earth was waiting for his answer. Humanity's future depended on what he said next. But before he could speak, we have a counter-proposal. Several aliens made sounds of disbelief. His massive form seemed to sag. You cannot be serious. You have no leverage. You have no position from which to negotiate. Pulled out a data tablet. Actually, we do. Admiral Nam, would you explain? Stood beside her. While you have been debating, humanity has not been idle. We have sent exploration ships in every direction. We have made contact with 7 species that are not part of the Council. 3 of them are pre-faster-than-light civilizations that we are now observing peacefully. 4 of them are spacefaring but have chosen to remain independent of the Council, living in isolated pockets far from your core territories. He pulled up data showing star charts with new marks on them. We have begun establishing diplomatic relations with these independent species, not to build an alliance against you, but to create alternatives. If the Council quarantines us, we will not be alone. We will have trading partners. We will have friends. The galaxy is larger than the Council's reach. An alien made of crystalline shards chimed in alarm. You have been contacting species without our approval. That is against all established protocols. Stepped forward. Protocols we never agreed to. You do not own the galaxy. You do not have the right to control who speaks to whom. We are free beings and we will associate with whoever we choose. Raised his hands. This changes nothing. We can still quarantine you. We can still prevent you from expanding into Council space. Smiled, and it was not friendly. You could. But then you would be admitting that the Council maintains control through force and isolation, not through mutual benefit and cooperation. Every species watching this will see that. Every junior member that has ever questioned the Council's authority will have their doubts confirmed. You would prove that we were right to refuse you. The chamber erupted. Aliens shouted and argued. Some demanded the humans be arrested immediately. Others called for calm. The noise rose and rose until slammed his massive fists on his desk, creating a boom that silenced everyone. Enough, his voice shook the chamber. I am 600 years old. I have negotiated treaties with empires and prevented wars that would have killed billions. I have dedicated my entire existence to maintaining the peace. And now I am being lectured by a species that learned to split the atom and immediately used it to kill each other. He pointed at Wu. You want to be treated as equals. You want a voice in Council decisions. You want the freedom to make your own mistakes. Fine, I will give you what you want, but not because you deserve it, not because you have earned it, but because I am tired. I am tired of arguing. I am tired of watching my colleagues tear each other apart over you. I am tired of preparing for a war that will benefit no one. Sat down heavily. I propose something unprecedented, something that goes against everything the Council has stood for. I propose we restructure the entire Council as an alliance of equals. No more tiers, no more junior members, no more protectorates. Every member species has full sovereignty and equal voting rights. All decisions require consensus, not hierarchy. The chamber went silent. It was the silence of shock, of disbelief. An alien near the back whispered, that would mean dismantling 3,000 years of tradition. Yes, agreed. It would, and it terrifies me, but the alternative terrifies me more. If we force humanity into submission, we become tyrants. If we quarantine them and they succeed, we become fools. If we go to war, we become murderers. I see no other path. The Keeper's tentacles stilled completely. If we do this, many members will leave the Council. Species that benefited from the old hierarchy will not accept equality. We could lose a third of our members. Then we lose them, said. But we gain something more valuable. We gain the chance to build something better, something that does not rely on forcing others to submit. Stood again. I support this proposal. My analysts have concluded that humanity represents a new type of challenge. They are not stronger than us, but they are more adaptable, more innovative, more willing to take risks. If we try to contain them, we will only make ourselves rigid. If we try to control them, we will only make them more determined to resist. The only logical option is to accept them and learn from them. One by one, other aliens stood and voiced their support. Not all of them, not even most of them, but enough. After hours of debate, the vote was called. The proposal passed by a margin of 7-5. The Galactic Council would be reformed as the Galactic Commonwealth, an alliance of sovereign equals. 5 of the founding species immediately announced their withdrawal from the Council. Dozens of junior members followed them. The alliance that had maintained peace for 3 fractured before everyone's eyes. But others stayed, and new voices, voices that had been silent before, spoke up in support. The independent species that humanity had contacted sent messages of interest in joining this new commonwealth. Junior members that had chafed under council restrictions celebrated their new freedom. As the session ended and the humans prepared to leave, the Keeper approached. The ancient being's tentacles reached out gently, almost sadly. "You have destroyed the old order," it said quietly. "I hope you are right that something better can be built from the ruins." Looked at the chaos in the chamber, at aliens arguing and celebrating and mourning. "I do not know if we are right, but we had to try. Living in a golden cage is still living in a cage." The Keeper was silent for a moment. 600 years ago, I watched the Council form from the ashes of a terrible war. I watched species that had tried to exterminate each other learn to live in peace. It was beautiful, but perhaps it was also fragile. Perhaps we built our peace on control rather than trust. Perhaps you have given us a chance to do better. Outside the station, the human fleet began to disperse. Some ships returned to Earth with news of the agreement. Others set out to explore new regions of space. The Council fleet remained, watching, waiting to see what would happen next. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Wu looked at the stars and felt the weight of responsibility settle on him. Humanity had won its freedom, but now they had to prove they could handle it. The galaxy was watching. The future was uncertain. But it was their future now. They would face it free.